One of our visions for opening the Cancer Centre here was to enable people to have treatment closer to home. It was really important for us to make sure patients didn't have too much disruption to their life while they were having that cancer diagnosis and cancer treatment, and being able to have family and friends close by. Anybody that gets that diagnosis is a scary time for them. Nobody wants to hear that word cancer. However, cancer doesn't mean to say that it's going to be a really bad journey. We know that cancer treatments are progressing all of the time, and our teams are there to support. One of the things that we approach with patients first off is we want patients to live with and beyond cancer.
I'm the first point of contact before the patient would get to the consultant, so any clinical things that they would ask, I would refer to my consultant. With regard to patient journey, my journey is from start to when they are discharged from the consultant, so I build up quite a good rapport with them and sometimes even their family members.
The journey starts from obviously talking to the patient in the clinic. First of all, understand how this issue started. Sometimes, understandably, it's not a great news and sadly can be a very stressful news to them and their relatives and family. And the way we deal with it, we always ask our specialist nurse to be with us because they deal more with all the holistic approach, their social support, knowing more about their background. We need to understand all these details.
Either myself or my colleague would meet a patient when they first come to clinic, either when they're beginning investigations to see if they've got a cancer, or they might come to us with a diagnosis, so at that point we might meet them then. Most people are quite nervous or quite upset, understandably. They may hear a lot of information and then not really know what's been said, so we often can help coming back at a later point and relaying that information and answering lots of questions. Also trying to give them some sort of insight of what's going to happen next, so that it's hopefully not quite as scary as it initially appears.
We usually discuss these cases in multidisciplinary team setting with more specialists, with radiologists, with pathologists. When a treatment is needed, we felt it's always overwhelming to the patient, to be honest, because it's a lot of things to take in. Found as they progress through the treatment, it makes more sense to them, and this kind of anxiety level improves with time.
We provide information and support to anyone affected by cancer. That's the patients themselves, but also family members, friends. We provide information in languages other than English, Braille, pictorial information for children and for people perhaps with learning difficulties.
I often say to patients that if they've got questions that they've been thinking of outside of clinic that aren't urgent questions, to write them down. Often people will think of things when they go home and think, I didn't ask that.
I have patients that do apologise when they ring up asking me questions, and I say to them, please don't apologise, that's what we're here for, we're here to support you. We always look at our patients from a holistic needs perspective, and we're always thinking not just about their treatment and how it's going to physically affect them, what impact it's going to have on their home life, on their finances and many other things. Everyone has their own concerns, so it's important that we are looking at these concerns.
People who are going through an emotional situation because either they've been newly diagnosed with cancer or something has changed in their health and in their care, they will come to us for a one-to-one session generally. So people are referred to us either on a self-referral basis or through their medical team at their cancer centre, and we will see whether they're most suited to the wellbeing nurses for some emotional support, or the psychologist for sort of a higher level type of support that she can provide.
All of the nurses that I have, they work across different tumour sites, which means that any cancer that is diagnosed, there should be a nurse available that is attached to that tumour site that the patient's been diagnosed with. They are experts in their own right, but they are also there to be able to look at that whole holistic package with the patient. So we know that patients that come in, that they may have travelling difficulties, they may be living on their own, and the side effects of medication and what that may mean. Patients that are self-employed, that suddenly don't have that ability to have an income in, they have got all the abilities to signpost to get help and support for patients.
One of the greatest fears people come across is that loss of control. People can go from being the main breadwinner in the household or having a full-time job, looking after 4 kids or whatever, to everything changing overnight. So that sense of mourning the loss of the life they had before. So people come with those kind of losses to talk about, as well as altered body image, hair loss due to chemo, maybe they've had a stoma formed or a mastectomy. So lots of physical loss, as well as the emotional and psychological side of things.
The chemotherapy suite downstairs, it's set out in bays, but we also have areas where the patients can sit if they're feeling a little bit unwell. But if they weren't recovering after their chemotherapy quickly, then we do have the ability to admit to the wards. We've also got an emergency pathway, and that's for any patients, again, on treatment. If they feel unwell, they can phone a 24/7 number.
In the wellbeing team, we have a Macmillan physiotherapist. His background is in palliative care and neuropathy, where they have like a tingling in their hands and feet and numbness, and that can be really quite significant and disabling for people. He's also a specialist in fatigue management, so patients experience fatigue generally during chemotherapy or other treatments, but also as a long-term effect from cancer. People who have difficulties with nutrition because of their cancer treatment maybe, or because of the actual disease itself, are able to receive support from our dietitians in the wellbeing service.
The nurse is really the only person that follows the patient from the very start of the journey all the way to the end, as the patient may see other medical professionals throughout. And so for the patient, that is one of the real key factors that we have to get right.
I love my job, and I feel very fortunate I get to do a job that I enjoy. Getting to know your patients and knowing that hopefully you can make a difference when they need you.
I love it. I really find this job really rewarding.
I've been really privileged to be able to be part of trying to build up a local service for our Milton Keynes patients, but also to see the staff grow, and then to see now the effects of patients coming through and hearing some of the really positive feedback of the care that they're getting.
This job is an absolute privilege and a pleasure, to be honest, because we get to speak to people and listen to people at really difficult times in their life.